What's up, everybody? Chelsea Denofa here. I posted the last video of us going over the top 16 at FD Canada, so I'm going to go ahead and go over FD Long Beach because it seemed like some of you guys wanted to see that. Also, it gives me a way to kind of depict my own driving towards you guys and show you how I was able to win the event. The last time you guys wanted to see that I had a tripod or something to make it a little bit better, Aaron's not here, so I rigged this little setup up right here. It kind of works, so hopefully it turns out well for you guys and you can enjoy it. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys this track before we go into the top 16 battles. This track is completely surrounded by walls, so there's almost no room for error. You have a wall here, 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 and a wall here. So there's no room for a bailout. Basically, if you're going to have any issues, your only chance is to have an issue here coming off the touch and go and stop before this wall that comes across the judge's tower right here. So it's a difficult track, and it's also blind because, as you can imagine, being that there's a wall here, when you come in you can't see this straightaway until you're here. So again, the same thing goes for here as well. So it's kind of a tricky track, but it's super fun and super rewarding when you get it right. Basically, when you do a lap here, you'll come in as fast as you can and do a handbrake or a clutch kick to handbrake here. I prefer a clutch kick to handbrake. And then you use this as kind of an inner zone where you need to be. And then there's a touch and go here on the outside. So you'll drive through this inner clip and then get your back bumper on the touch and go, all on throttle the entire time, and then transition under the bridge. There's another outer zone here, so you'll want to drive across this and touch that at the bridge. Throw as much angle as you can, so that way you can come through here, and not that you can see in this photo, but there is a flat wall here on an angle. They want you to come out and touch that wall as well with the back of your car. And then there's not necessarily a touch and go, but you want your back bumper in this general area here to get this inner clip here. And then you'll power out to the outside and go back on the track. What's also cool about this track is as soon as you finish your run, you're going into the pits, which your crew is right there. So you don't really have to backtrack anything. But in top 16 and on, they're going to make you do a U-turn here and come back right onto track. Go backwards, wave at all the fans, and then come back in again. Alright, jumping into our top 16 here is going to be Frederick Osbo and Mad Mike Widett. So basically, he's going to follow first. Here's the chicane like we talked about before, and just kind of give you a pretense. This chicane is very, very tight, and it leads you pretty much right out to this wall if you're on throttle, so you actually do have to go super slow through here so you don't lose all your speed trying to spin your way out right here. So let's just dive right in. Mike Widett is following Frederick Osbo, and they throw it in, and Mad Mike's pretty close. Osbo is kind of where he needs to be on his run. They also both had a short run-up with this track because in 2016 they shortened it quite a bit. They'll power through the first turn, and you can see there's a car gap here, but this is not necessarily a bad thing because if you can see, there's a lot of room to make up between outer zones 1 and 2. Osbo's about 2 feet off the wall, but Mad Mike's way on the inside, and this could be a problem because in order to make the next clip, you kind of have to be out here to be able to push all the way across the track. Well, let's see what happens. If you notice there, Osbo is a little bit off the wall as well, but he's got a good line with a lot of angle. Mad Mike is now where he needs to be in the follow position, but about a car back. They'll power through this turn. Mad Mike makes up a little bit of ground while Osbo powers through a good clean run, and then Mad Mike dives in on the inside and kind of chokes himself out. I'll show this again. He's trying to get in here and do a Hail Mary, transitions and doesn't get on the brake fast enough, while Osbo's running a very wide line, so he's going to late apex this clip here. But Mad Mike can't stop in time and dives to the inside and actually hits Osbo. And it looks like he runs over the inner clip, but finishes very, very close. Now, Mad Mike's job to lead. He throws it in. a little bit wider than Osbo did there. And you can see the same one-car gap between. Looks like Mike's actually pulling a gap right here. Osbo is staying in. Mike is way off this outer zone here. Cuts across the track and gets super gangster right here. Look at that. That's like 90 degrees, almost backwards. Osbo's doing a fantastic job in the follow, kind of waiting to see what happens. You can actually see Mike's car is oversteering or understeering at this point. So he's actually pushing through and dragging the front tires, while Osbo's car is right in line where he needs to be. So this is an over-rotation waiting to happen, and we'll see if he has enough grip to pull out of this. Almost has enough grip to pull out of it, but then ends up spinning. Osbo misses him, drives through the rest of the track pretty smooth, and I'd have to give this win, obviously, to Osbo, as Mike Wadette is on track with a 0 spun out. And it looks like it's going to go to Frederick Osbo. All right, and here's the next run with Matt Field and Christops Bluss, E46 and S14, both using LSs. You can see he's trying to go through as gnarly as possible, but I really want to see this again in the launch. Matt's car almost does a wheelie off the line. Look at this. Boom! So gnarly. Powers through. The HGK car of Christops following, throws it in. Christops does an amazing job in the follow position right here. He is right where he needs to be, front tire to door, about an eighth of a car gap. There's almost nothing there. Matt did a good job entering, but Christops is right there on him. Look how close that is. You can barely even see Christops through here. Matt gets out about 4 feet from the touch and go. I'd like to see him a little closer there to get full points. Transitioning through there, he's off again, but Christops is doing a fantastic job following. If you watch, his transitioning timing is really, really good here. Boom, bumper to bumper, right on his door. Powers through. Matt's really far off on this zone here. I don't know where he's at, but Christops is doing a great job following. And then Christops flies in the last turn. A little bit of a gap here. Matt pulled through that last section, but they both finished the run pretty clean. Christops has an obvious advantage here because of his much closer tandem and Matt being off on the outer zones. Christops throws it in. Matt's pretty close, but then falls back because Christops does a funny drag here if you look. He throws it in, car jolts, and then goes again a second time, so I think that may have thrown Matt off. Christops is closer to the outer zones, but still off a little bit. Matt is charging and very, very close. A great tandem spot here. Transitions on the back bumper. Oh, and actually pushes him through the last turn. That's fantastic. Look at that. Throws it through here. He's pushing him. Somehow doesn't lose drift and stays right on his door. For this battle, I would say it's going to be a one more time. Oh, there we go. He got the one more time. Matt's going to lead again. Drives out. He's pushing really hard. Throws it in wide. Christops is pretty close, about a car length back. Matt's getting to the outer zones how he needed to. Christops is trying to get as close as possible, but Matt is filling all the zones perfect. Christops gets super close there. And really, really close, but Matt takes out the clip on the inside. And there was only one run there for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure. They gave the win to Matt, but I didn't get to see the follow run, so I'm sorry about that, guys. I guess they missed it in the top 16 highlights. Ryan Turk, Tyler Mcari. Let's see what we got here. Turk leaves the transition or the gate really well. Tyler's following very closely. Turk does an e-brake initiation, which is a little bit different. He's still dragging the e-brake at this point, even though he initiated back here. So this gives a lot of time for Tyler Mcari to catch up. And as you can see, this is the position you want to be in. This is about as good as it gets for going into the first turn at Long Beach. And Tyler falls back a little bit as he's waiting for Turk. Turk gets all the way out to that outer zone right before this. Obviously, I stopped a little bit late, but Tyler's on the inside, a little bit shallower, trying to stay close. Good transitioning time, but Tyler transitions too early, and that dives him all the way into no man's land on the inside here. So he's going to have a struggle getting back out with Turk. Turk goes all the way to the outer zone. Tyler stays pretty close on the inside. flicks through. Tyler runs over the clip as Turk overshoots that last part of the turn, which is interesting, but because of him hitting the clip, his is kind of a wash. All right, Tyler has a great initiation, lots of angle. Turk falls back. Tyler gets all the way out to the walls. Very, very good. Turk's doing a good job following. Tyler actually has a ton of angle through here, filling the zone where he needs to. Gets almost all the way out to the zone there. Turk doing a good job following. Dives into the inside and gets around the clip. I honestly would have to give this to Turk, as they did as well. Simply because Turk had the cleaner of the two runs and also didn't make the mistake of running over the clip and had a better follow run. So now we have Charles Ng and Ken Gushi pulling up. Again, here we go with the chicane. He goes slow through the chicane, then gets on it. You can see the car lurch. He does an e-brake in, and so does Charles Ng. Charles Ng's about a half car back. I'd like to see a little bit closer there. Gets about 2 cars back, but then closes the gap, gets very close in the transition. I'm going to explain something to you guys right here because you guys want to know more about setup. His car has a lot more forward grip than Gushi's car. Every time he gets on the gas, his car shallows up and goes to the inside of the turn. That's tough following Gushi's car, which is a little bit looser, but Gushi's a very fast driver, so he makes it look fluid. But as you see, Charles will actually dive into the inside on throttle here. Transitions great, no problems, but then dives to the inside on throttle again and has to use the handbrake, while Gushi's just blazing the trail up here. Gushi gets about 5-6 feet, that's probably 7 feet off the outer zone, not ideal, but at good angle. And then Charles Ng is in the inside of the track trying to keep his car at drift because Gushi's running the wider line, which takes more time, and he's dive bombing to the inside. Charles Ng gets to the inside there, has a good transitioning point through there, but mows the clip over because he's too late on the apex and goes to the outer zone. I give a big advantage to Gushi on this one. Let's see how Charles Ng leads. Charles Ng comes in with an e-brake entry as Gushi is very close on the inside, ready to dive in. There's about a half car gap through there, which is fantastic. Gushi mirrors him through this. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. Gushi just did an amazing transition. So watch this right here. Gushi's right there on the inside, and he times this perfectly. Almost rips his back bumper off. Boom. Right here you can see Gushi pulls out a little bit of angle because he's actually going to smash into the back of Charles. But then Gushi dumps the clutch and drives right into the side of his car. Look at that, right there, super close. Glued onto his car through this whole area. Has to use the brakes because Charles Ng is diving across the front of him. But then does an earlier transition into the last turn and was able to dive in because Charles Ng was wide on the inner clip right there. So I would definitely give this battle to Ken Gushi. Charles Ng had a good run, but his follow was not as aggressive as Ken Gushi's. And Gushi just had a better flow overall. His fluidity was better, as the judges would say. Cool. I agree with the judges there for sure. All right, so here is Forrest Wang and Mike Essa. Both have similar styles, lots of angle, a little bit looser of a car setup, which makes drifting more exciting to watch. So I always like watching these two guys drive together. So it looks like Forrest is going to do a flick entry. So this is obviously a right-hander. He's already thrown it into the left as Essa already is basically on target to drive into his door. Let's see. Forrest throws it in. Essa right behind him, very close. Forrest has a big e-brake drag there, which I think threw off Essa. And that's pretty common to see here. He may not have done it on purpose, obviously, but it's just how he enters, and it's really, really difficult to catch up. So now Essa will have to catch up in the straightaway here. Forrest with a ton of angle all the way to that outer zone. The wing may be off. I'm not even sure. Essa's on the inside, and he's in a sticky situation here because he's got less angle and not as wide. Let's see if he can pull through this. Oh, transitions way early. Forrest transitions in front of him, gets all the way out to that outer zone with a super gangster run. And Essa's diving in, like somehow making this happen, but I do feel that that's not going to happen for much longer. Oh, and there's a straighten. While Forrest is finishing the run, a little bit off on that clip there. Drives through the last clip. A little bit late on throttle there, but Essa's already zeroed out behind him, so I doubt it's going to matter very much. Essa with the lead position. Same flick as Forrest, throws it in. Forrest is getting rolled. Essa's pulling away really quickly. Good angle. Fantastic lead run, off a little bit on the clips. Has to use e-brake correction to get out and still doesn't quite make it. It looks like Essa might have had a little bit too much grip for his own good. Forrest had a very difficult time keeping up because the car was faster, but obviously Forrest gets the win because of Essa's 0 in the first lap. Alright, so oddly enough, this is myself and Chris Forsberg. Let's see what we got here. Chris throws it in with the e-brake. I do as well. I dive in as much as possible. I try to always have my front wheel at his front wheel. That way, if he does anything to pick up speed, I have some time to react and still have the judges feel that I'm within proximity of the car. Throw it in. I'm right on his door. I power through as much as I can. If you see, I'm on the left foot brake, dragging the fronts a little bit. He's pulling all the way out to this outer zone. Super gangster run by Chris. I'm diving in. I'm a little bit shallower, but I'm also going to ride out with him. This gives me a little bit extra speed to be able to drive up to his door without necessarily losing the ability to make the drift look good. Chris hits the wall. Now this is really wild here. So if you go back, we transition. I'm watching where he's going. He throws it too hard, catches the wall. Drives straight. He's obviously in counter steer still here, but he's definitely not really drifting anymore. Has a huge mistake. I've already hit him in the back of the car here, which is interesting. Obviously, I have a little insight here because I'm the one driving, but smashes the door in, and I'm kind of left with nowhere to go. So because of that, I keep powering through and magically pass him, which at this point, now I'm the lead car, and Chris dives in, mows the clip. And that's not necessarily a spot where you can legally pass, right? So at this point now, I'm already worried that my pass was illegal per se. Even though I really didn't have a safe exit out, I kind of took the best abilities possible, and I still did get close to the outer zone in front of the judges. So at this point, I don't know that they've deemed it this way, but I've actually have the advantage after that run. So I have a lead run now. I throw it in. I do a clutch kick to handbrake, get good angle. Chris is doing a fantastic job behind me, watching where I'm going. I'm on all the touch and goes as best as I can with as much angle as possible. Chris is right there behind me, about a car length behind. He actually dives in even more here and mirrors me so close that you can barely see him. As I'm off on this outer zone here, they really want you touching this wall, and I'm not quite there. As we go through the last turn, he dives into the inside, ends up mowing me over while I'm on throttle, and spins, which is kind of the nail in the coffin, and gives me the win in that battle unanimously. Alright, now we have Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Jeff Jones. Vaughn comes in, does an e-brake entry, while Jeff Jones is behind him and washes out, losing control of it, while Vaughn has a good lead run and Jeff's getting pulled. Vaughn really getting out to that outer wall. He's one of the first people to actually make it out there. Everybody was gripped up, so it was pushing him away from the wall. He gets out there really good, while Jeff tries to catch up. Gets out in the outer zone. Vaughn comes to the inside turn, the inside wheel off the ground. Fantastic run by Vaughn. And I do believe that Jeff Jones would have had a great follow run, but he washed out a little bit in the first part of the track, in the first turn. So advantage definitely goes to Vaughn here in my eyes. Jeff Jones does a clutch kick handbrake. Vaughn does just a handbrake. There's a pretty big gap here, but it looks like Vaughn's catching up, diving in. Oh, look at this. This is really close. Jeff Jones hits the wall, it looked like. Gets the wall and loses angle, but reinitiates. while Vaughn is hanging out. Now Vaughn's got nowhere to go. Pulls the handbrake to try to suck it up the best he can. He catches the wall again, and now Vaughn goes for a pass almost on the inside. So definitely goes to Vaughn on that one. All right, here we go. This is going to be Osbo and Matt Field. Osbo's in the lead position. Matt's in the follow. As you can see, Osbo is over to the left quite a bit, but Field is diving in on the inside, ready for action.
All right, here we go. The needle tire, grade 8.
They throw it in. Matt actually gets behind Osbo for this, and then is able to dive in on the inside. And Matt just dives right up on him while Osbo has a good lead run. Matt is glued to his car. This is an amazing run. Matt is super close. The transitioning timing is perfect. Like, look at this. It is so good. Look at amazing battle. That is the best battle of Long Beach right there. That was amazing. Matt did a fantastic job following. Now it's going to be Matt leading and Osbo following. Matt throws it in, pretty good angle. Osbo's falling back. Matt gets all the way to the touch and go with tons of angle and loops it. Just blows it. What a bummer for that. Let's go back and see this again, what happened. It looked like he threw it in, and he had a lot of angle here. And then when he went to transition, he didn't throw the wheel fast enough and just looped it. Well, Osbo followed behind him and took advantage of this situation, his spin, and drove through the rest of the track cleanly. And obviously it's going to go to Osbo for that. Big bummer to Matt. It's a huge mistake on his half. All right, so here we go. We got Turk and Odie. Turk is using the handbrake entry while Odie throws it in behind him. This is a pretty good layout here. Turk gets all the way to the outer zone like he's been doing all day. And Odie is behind him about a car or a half car length back. Close transition. Odie gets up into the side of his car right here. Turk smashes the wall with the back of the car. Check this out right here. That is ideal. That is insane. There's the tires touching the wall while Odie is on the inside. This is ballsy. Like, Odie's not out there because it's just a disaster waiting to happen. But he pulls it off clean. Odie's right on him there. Smooth transition. Odie throwing a lot of angle in and then mows the clip actually while he's getting stuck behind Turk in the last turn. But that was a really good run by Turk and an excellent follow by Odie. Alright, so Odie uses a handbrake in with a flick. Turk is behind, trying to catch up. He does so, gets close on the transition. Odie has a great lead run, gets out there on the zone. So does Turk. Turk's just not quite as close through there. And then, skims around the last turn, but looks like he ended up shutting down early. Maybe he missed a shift or didn't think he was going to make it around the last turn. But that was it. That put the nail in the coffin for Ryan Turk, because Odie, even though Ryan, I feel, had the advantage there, he ended up making the mistake at the end, and now Odie, I believe, is going to get the win. What a bummer.
Here we go.
Great driving from both of them, though. So Gushi and Wang, here we go. Gushi does a handbrake in. Wang is getting close on the inside, trying to stay as close as possible, but getting pulled by quite a bit. Awesome lead run by Gushi, a little off on the clip there, but diving in. Forrest is just having a hard time keeping up. His car's too loose. So big advantage goes to Gushi with the faster car and still having great style. All right, we'll trade around here. Big flick in, lots of angle. Gushi's hanging on right there, staying really, really close. Backs it in, tons of angle. Gushi waits and attacks again. Oh, and Forrest spins out. He gets a little bit too much and ends up spinning out on throttle. Look at all that smoke. So obviously Gushi gets the win. All right, now we have myself and Gittin Jr. Vaughn's car is very, very quick, throws it in. He actually has a gap on me here on the straightaway because his car had enough grip to pull me in the drag race. Handbrakes in as I do a clutch kick to handbrake to try to settle this gap right here. I close it a little bit, but then I just monster as fast as I can to grip and catch up. He gets to the outer zone. I'm about a half a car length back and trying to close. I'm leaving a little bit on the table here, but that's okay because I'm going to get closer through here. Vaughn gets out to the zone, so do I. I'm super close. Transition early there so that I can get in as much as possible, and I know that he's had an advantage for the first half of this run, so I'm trying to close this as much as possible. I drive through and I finish the run basically inside his door as close as possible, just so the judges, I leave on a good note with them. Let's see here. I'm going to do a lead run now, and Vaughn's going to follow. I kind of throw it in with a clutch kick handbrake. Vaughn is right there on me, and then I'm able to pull away through this zone, touching the touch and go, getting super close there, a little bit of e-brake adjustment. I'm still off on this zone. He was much closer there. Driving through a little bit of a gap there through the last turn. I'm able to keep a gap and power away. And this is one of the closest battles, honestly. This one could have gone one more time for sure. I think the judges ended up giving it to me because I had a better touch and go in the first section of the track. I'll go back just so you can see. Like, I threw it in more aggressively from here to the outer zone with more angle and flicked it much harder there because Vaughn was actually closer to the wall here in front of the judges, so it could have gone either way there. And Vaughn's doing a great job following. So I pull a gap through there, and I think he also just didn't finish quite as hard as I did through there. It was super close. Definitely could have been a one more time, but the judges ended up giving me the win here. Even though it was one more time, myself, Andy said myself. So super close battle. Could have been a one more time, depending on how you looked at it. All right, into the top four. At Long Beach, we got Odie and Osbo. Osbo comes, he's going to lead first. Osbo throws it in. Smooth entry. Odie's right there on him. Fantastically close. Great transition. This is an amazing follow and lead run. Odie's right where he needs to be. Osbo's right where he needs to be. Into the last turn. Odie gets pulled a little bit, but then drives back on him. Closes the gap. The only issue I could see in this entire run is right here. Odie falls back a little bit through here, as you can see, but then he closes the gap really quickly by having a better line to that last clip to have more speed, per se. All right, Odie's going to do a lead run now. Throws it in. Odie has a not as aggressive entry. It was a little bit on the push side, but Osbo's following. Osbo's not quite as close. And then he closes the gap a lot right here. Very smooth through here. Even closer to... Oh, gave him a bump on the door right there, actually. If you can see closely right here, watch Odie's car. Boop. A little bit of a bump right there. Transitioning into the last turn. Super close. Good battle. I see this as a one more time. I can't recall how the judges did it. Let's take a see here. Oh, it is going to be a one more time. Osbo's leading first. Osbo throws it in, much more gangster entry. Odie runs over the inside, but is able to get super close. Very, very close on the transition, but loses angle because he was so close. Super close in front of the judges' tower. Transitions in. Finishes the run very, very close. A little bit of a bump on the door for Osbo. Very, very good battle there. All right, Odie throws it in. Not quite as aggressive. Drives in, not super close to the touch and go, but good on that one. Osbo's doing a great job following. Not as close as Osbo there, but Osbo's on him. Super close. Finishes the run. Again, very, very close battle. I honestly can't tell you who won on that one. I know they wouldn't do a multiple one more time, but I think I would have done one more time on this battle again on that one.
Osbo, Brian, and Andy say. One more time, Andy says.
Oh, so Osbo gets the win there. I definitely could have seen it the other way around, or I'm sorry, not the other way around, but being a one more time. But Sometimes the judges can see things that I can't. Plus, they're actually there in person. I don't know. It depends. That would be one of the battles that I would disagree with. All right, so Ken Gushi's leading. I'm following. Ken throws it with a handbrake. I do the same. But what I do here is, again, staying to the inside, dumping the clutch. I'm putting a lot of faith in Ken Gushi that he's going to drive heads up and not make a mistake here. And he does. He drives heads up, which allows me to be very, very close to the first turn, which is really hard to do at Long Beach. And a lot of that's just by taking the chance. I feel that I'm already in the top 4. I might as well be driving 100%, so that's why I'm doing that. So I drive in close. I actually check up a little bit because I overshot it and was going to hit him. And old me would have just smashed into him, but I was trying to win here, so I checked up on the brakes a little bit there. So I'm following him in about a car length back. He gets deep, touches the wall. I transition right on his door. I allow him to take the extra 2 feet that he wants there, but I stay to the inside so I can be as close as possible. And I just glue myself to his door as much as possible. Watch the brake for left foot braking, and watch the car squatting, which is the handbrake in my car. He's got Gushi's got great angle, doing a great line, but I'm basically glued to him. You see the car lurching there. I leave a gap a little bit, but then drive right back in at the last turn and stay as close as possible to him. So great run with by Gushi, and then obviously I was pretty close to him on the follow, so no real advantage there. It was just a good tandem battle. My turn to lead. Throw it in, clutch kick handbrake, dive in as much as possible. Gushi is very, very close, almost closer to me than I was at this point. And then I'm able to get out to the outer zone. Gushi's doing a fantastic job following. I get out to the outer zone there, pull a little bit of a gap through here, transition to the last turn, and basically leaving about a 1-car gap for the entire battle. And because of that 1-car gap, which seems to be a great tandem, somehow I was closer, so obviously I had the advantage there on the follow run. And we had similar lead runs. Neither of our lead runs were better.
Slide of left for Denofa, right for Gushi. One more time from
This could have been a one more time as well, other than the fact that I feel that I was much closer to Gushi. Alright, so here's the final battle that I was fortunate enough to be in. Looks like I'm going to be following Osbo, as he was the higher qualifier. He goes through the chicane. I'm powering in as close as possible. He throws it in. I'm about a half a car length back because he's able to get down the straightaway a little bit faster. So I know that I'm diving in. I need to make up the ground here. So this is the final battle. I am not holding back. I throw it in to get as close as possible with Osbo. I stay at his back tire, and he touches the touch and go. And because I'm deeper than him in the first turn, he hits the wall, and I smash the wall pretty hard here. But I'm able to make the change up as he's going there, and I'm basically staying wider than him, but about a half to a 1-car length back. But this gives me a great opportunity to get into this zone and out as fast as possible so that I can dive in on Osbo here. And I do just that. And I give him a little bump there as close as possible. And then transitioning into the last turn, I make sure that I can stay as close as possible through here. There's actually more gap there than I would have liked to see. But it was, right in front of the judges. I made sure to make my impact and leave my my tire on his door. So then the lead run, this is it. This is the last run of the battle. I try to do everything I can. Chuck it in. He's super close. I get out to the touch and go, rip the rest of the wing off. A little bit off on the touch and go there. I would have liked to be closer, but I had the car so gripped up that it actually pulled me away from the wall. If you pay attention here, I chuck it and get on the gas. Boom, I drive away from the wall. I do a quick e-brake there to reset myself. And then I'm able to get out to that touch and go while Osbo is very close, but makes a mistake right here. And this is where I ended up winning the event. So he gives me a bump, but then he lifts instead of driving through it. and falls back really far. So I go into the last turn, and I'm able to keep over 1 car gap, and then even further into the last turn. So literally the entire event was lost just because he lifted there and didn't stay on throttle. So obviously at that battle I ended up winning. I was super stoked on that. This goofball right here, I cried like a little bitch. I was so happy. I've been doing this for 11 or 12 years, my first win. So I was super stoked. We can finish watching that now. But yeah, it was a great win, great way to win, you know, without any one more times. All of the calls were pretty good, I believe. One of them should have been even a one more time. But, you know, overall, I'm pretty stoked on it. And then I'm glad I got to go over all these with you. I know you guys wanted to see it, so I went ahead and did that. And, yeah, thanks for watching.